Shabbat Shalom Uvarach. This is Parshat Mishpatim. I want to dedicate this Devar Torah to the Refuah Shlema of Mordechai ben Sanobar. So in Parshat Mishpatim, we answer a fundamental question, and that is, how are we as Jewish people to view the mitzvot, the commandments, the laws of the Torah? It's the first Parasha where we're really getting into the details and the nitty-gritty of the laws of the Torah. We were just freed from Egypt. We're in the desert. And now Hashem gave us the Torah and is teaching us the laws of the Torah. And how are we supposed to view them? Does Hashem demand blind obedience? Are we supposed to follow the laws unquestioningly without having to understand the reasons behind them? Is Judaism a religion of blind faith, or is it a thinking religion? And on the first pasuk of this week's parasha, Rashi says something very interesting. The first pasuk is Ve'ela Mishpatim asher tasim lefnehem. These are the laws that you shall set before them. So Rashi apparently thinks the phrase asher tasim lefnehem, you shall set before them, is curious. He explains that the reason why the Torah uses this language of you shall set the laws before them to mean that Moshe Rabbeinu might think he has to teach us the laws, but he doesn't have to busy himself with teaching us the rules and the explanations and the rationales behind the laws. Therefore, the Torah says, you shall set before them, Rashi says, Keshulchan ha'aruch, like a set table with everything prepared, meaning not just the laws themselves, but the reasons and the explanations behind the laws. So Rabbi Mark Angel says, okay, this Rashi certainly explains the category of Torah laws called Mishpatim, which refer to the laws that even if the Torah had not been given, human reason would be able to figure out. Humanity would have been able to figure it out on their own, like do not steal, do not murder, do not kidnap, those kinds of things. But what about the category of laws in the Torah known as the Gotkin, which seem to have no discernible explanation that the human mind can figure out through reason alone, like shatnez, not mixing wool and linen in the same garment, or tefillin, or kashrut. What about those laws? So Rabbi Mark Angel brings the Guide for the Perplexed, the Moreh Nevuchim, a very famous work by the Rambam. And in the Moreh Nevuchim, the Rambam explains that every single mitzvah, every single commandment, every law in the Torah, even the ones that are harder to understand, are meant to teach us good character traits or improve humanity or society as a whole. And he actually takes a very stern view against those who believe that we can't understand the reasons behind the mitzvot. There are people in his time, as well as in our own, who prefer that we should just do the Torah, follow Torah and mitzvot unquestioningly, unthinkingly, and that the human mind cannot grasp or comprehend the meaning behind the mitzvot. But Rambam says no. He actually explicitly says there's a group of human beings who consider it a grievous thing that causes should be given for any law. What would please them most is that the intellect would not find a meaning for the commandments and prohibitions. And he actually says that every single one of the 613 mitzvot was meant to communicate a correct opinion, or put an end to an incorrect opinion, or communicate a rule of justice, or ward off an incorrect view of justice, or imbue us with noble moral qualities. And it's not the case that we just can't understand, and those who say that are wrong. And I believe that this Parsha, Mishpatim, the first one in which all the laws are given, Hashem's telling us something very clearly, that we are meant, we're encouraged, we're invited, and we're commanded to use our intellect, our rational faculties, to understand the different laws of the Torah. And we are meant to not only serve Hashem through obedience, but Hashem also wants us to use our mind, our intellect, to try to understand the laws. And in that way, we can improve ourselves as individuals and better the world as a whole. Shabbat Shalom.